speaks, it's, I think, about 20 minutes into the movie. Except some voice over in the prologue. But I was, as I sat there, I swear this is true, I didn't remember that we doubled up the gag on the gun, not firing. And there was another thing that someone coming up out of the sand, Max, it's just recycling, but it is different. You know, it is different, it's not the same story.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like with continuity with Max series, I'm not as worried about where things add up, because it all feels like one big myth and legend that's been told, and even if Max has a different face, it's still the world that you've created. For you, where does this fall in terms of the Max story?
It's sort of a revisit. The three films existing had no real clear chronology because they were always conceived as different films. But this is sort of in my head after Thunderdome, and it's 40. The way we all thought about it is next Wednesday, all the bad stuff we see in the news comes to pass, and we have, you know, economic collapse and oil wars, water wars, and stuff that we didn't even see coming, and we jump 45 years into the future, and in a sense we go back to a dark age without rule of law. So everything is reduced like almost like it was in the classic westerns, and figures in the landscape trying to figure out some meaning to their lives and stuff like that. So that's sort of the guiding underlying stuff, so that every bit of costume, every weapon, every vehicle has a rationale to be there. And everyone worked at that. The actors, as we were writing, you know, props, wardrobes, a whole lot, stunt guys, everything.
The photography in The Road Warrior is extraordinary, and I think you and Dean Semler basically created a lot of our modern action language in terms of how cars chases are shot and things like that. For this, were there things that you had wanted to do that you could never do before that now on Fury Road you were able to pull off?
Yeah, 30 years on, the technology is amazing. I mean, you can put a camera anywhere, first of all, and if you erect the camera, the cameras are small enough and cheap enough that you can go to the local airport and buy another one and put it in there. We had, you know, you could erase tracks if you. I saw in Fury, Mad Max 2, I call it. Road Warrior was Mad Max 2 everywhere except America, because I didn't really see much of Mad Max 1 at the time. So, but there were tracks in the opening scene of Road Warrior. You could see where we'd done our previous passes, and there were tracks on the road, and we'd erase them now. But then we had an amazing thing called the Edge Arm, which is a four-wheel drive with a big crane on it, and four of us in the vehicle, brilliant driver, crane operator on little toggle switches, and the camera operator. And we set up huge setups of the Armadas chasing, and in amongst it was this edge arm, and the fourth person was me sitting there watching a monitor. Can you imagine that? I was in the middle of the movie, the world we created, and that camera could go anywhere. And it was so quick, I got so addicted to it that we got two of them. The edge arm. So you could do stuff now that you couldn't back then. And so it has to be much better, and you can also put people in much more jeopardy. You know, when you see the movie, I mean, that was Tom and Charlize going for it, but you'll see car action where they're dangling off vehicles inches from the ground, vehicles at speed, and it's them because they've got harnesses on them and brilliant rigging crew, and they felt safe enough to do it, and then you just erase it. You couldn't in those days. I don't know if anybody noticed, but you know, when the warrior woman in this story got shot, you could see the wires where we sent the arrows into her. Oh, some people saw the mistake when the door gets ripped off. If you saw, there was between Mel's legs, there was this guy sitting there trying to look invisible, and that was Dennis Williams, the truck driver. And I remember that day, the gears were sticking, so he was there to help Mel push the gears. And we had a couple of cameras on him, and I just didn't think that when you pulled the door away, that he'd be there. And he was the guy who rolled the truck at the end. And Dennis Williams, and he wasn't a stunt driver, he was a very good driver. And everyone was sort of arguing that they should do the role. And he said, yes, but I've had practice, because in real life, in work, he did roll one of his vehicles, so he ended up doing it.
I almost feel greedy asking this, but can we see a little more Fury Road? Yeah. Just a little more?
All right. This is an extension of the story, but it's very short. And it's a trailer that was cut by some brilliant people at Warner Brothers, specifically for tonight. It's not going on the net, it's not showing in any other theatre. I think it's going to be repeated once in Las Vegas in a week or two. But you will be the only ones who will have seen this trailer.
So one more time, remember, no phones, no cameras, no nothing. One more look, Fury Road.